Hello everybody and welcome to Friday Night Magic here at GameSwap Mason, brought to you by Top Deck Productions. We're going to do the first round of Standard.
Because we can.
Because we can. We got a really good matchup here. Robert Meadows versus Jake Valentine. It's like a mirror match. Blue-black Bolas. Which means that it's Grixis.
Yeah, I have no idea what's going on here, to be perfectly honest. I know what the I know what the Bolas card is.
It's the new Siege Rhino.
It is the new Sage Rhino. It's 4 mana for some stuff. It does stuff.
So 4 mana, 4/4 with flying, and when it comes into play, you
do some stuff.
You make your target player discard a card.
I think it says each opponent.
It probably says each opponent. That's where we're at these days. Each opponent discards a card, and then for like 7 or 8 mana or something, it can flip. So there was a lot of excitement around this card, specifically when it got spoiled. You just knew that there was going to be like some Grixis mid-range or control deck built around it.
Oh, absolutely. It's a 4/4 for 4 with flying.
Yeah.
Any other text is just a bonus.
Yep.
And it also turns into a Planeswalker that has the text, draw 2 cards. Audio's fine. We're good.
So, yeah, shuffle it up and let's get going here. There were after the last bans in Standard, there were like Grixis energy decks running around, so there were definitely the cards for this shell. Oh, and yeah, I think that the Bolas card revitalized that. And it survives rotation, so there will be even more Bolas decks moving forward.
Absolutely. I think the card's just an all-around solid card.
It's definitely pushed. But then again, like...
It can't be pushed unless you have Revolt. But that card's rotating out very soon.
A Fatal Push?
Yeah, you don't have to worry about your Nicol Bolas getting Fatal Push for very long.
They'll probably print some other way to deal with it.
Some other silly one-drop removal spell, like they always do. That'll...
Yeah. I've always thought,
Oh man, we got some the mirror plays going on here. We got blue-black tap land, blue-black tap land. I think Jack's on the play, which just means he wins, right? That's how these matchups go?
As long as they keep hitting their land drops and everything.
And there's a Fatal Push coming out against the sleeves.
So Robert Meadows played his creature and immediately put it into the graveyard because he figured Jake had a Fatal Push. And, you know, even if you're playing a creature into a Fatal Push, it gets the Fatal Push out of the way. They won't have it for your next creature.
Yeah, for sure. So
sometimes you just have to fight through that kind of thing.
Here we have Jake resolving a Champion of Wits, right? Champion of Wits. Drawing 2 cards equal to its power, and then discarding 2 cards. So he's deciding on his discard.
It's faithless looting on a
creature.
On a creature.
That you can flash back for just an absurd amount of mana.
Yeah. Then he puts a land into play tap.
But you also get
like
4
that,
cards.
I think they could have done Embalm and Eternalize. I think they could have executed that better, but it does help you. That aside, it does help. You can't really flood out when you have creatures like that in your deck, because you can just play them later. If he doesn't have when that creature dies and he ends up having that much mana later and doesn't have another play, he gets to embalm it.
Oh, for sure. And then draw 4 cards and discard 2. Straight card advantage. Because not only are you not spending a card out of your hand, but you're filling it back up. You're going to be at +2 cards with card advantage added, card selection, added.
So we see we see Robert taking down the glint sleeve Siphoner, which is a very strong card in these decks. It's the Bob.
It's Bob.
It's just another iteration of Dark Confidant, but this time with energy.
Yeah, it's Bob Meyer Jr.
A cast down on the Champion of Wits. So we see the players trading resources, drawing cards, passing the turn. This is the way.
That's what this is. We're trying to resolve a Bolas and then flip Bolas and then win the game with Bolas. That's it. This whole deck is Bolas.
We're trying to make each and every single card count.
Welcome to Standard.
Yeah.
If a single card is whiffed, then good job. you goofed.
Every single card has to count.
And so we've got both of these players, famously blue players in our local area, shuffling their hands like mad and playing lands and saying go.
Yeah. And they've hit land drops almost every single turn.
Yep. This is
eventually we'll see an epic battle over resources.
One of these times there's going to be before this game is over, there's going to be a stack with at least 4 spells on it.
And there's the Scarab God.
Woo! Scarab God
Essence,
is a bomb.
Right into an Essence Scatter, but, you know.
And why do you play Essence Scatter in the main deck? Because of Scarab God.
Because of cards like Scarab God.
Scarab God's is a big contributor to that.
Yeah. I think...
It's one of the only ways to really answer it. I mean, Jake's still going to get that card back on his upkeep because of how that God works.
It goes back to his hand.
Yeah, it's just going to go back to his hand, but he still gets to recast it. The amount of times that you can cast Scarab God is always greater than the amount of times that your opponent can cast counter spells. Unless they Vraska's Contempt it, which is
you have to exile. Yeah, you have to exile it somehow.
Vraska's Contempt is the real big reason for that.
So here we see a Doomfall, and we've chose the discard mode on it.
Yeah, Doomfall is a solid Thought Not Seer without a body. That's exactly what it is. So based on the power curve of Doomfall, you gather that, you know, black and 2 is worth a Thought Not Seer effect. So the 4/4 for 1 is the other half of that card.
It's a part of the same cycle as a Braid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 2 modes, 1 color.
Yeah,
both relevant most of the time. You can just exile a creature with it, can't you?
Not worth any one of the individual effects. Like in mana, like it's a little bit more expensive than that effect generally is on Curve, but the fact that it can do one of 2 different things means that it's always relevant. And when your spells are pliable like that.
So Jake looks like he was about to pull ahead here, and now he has 2 Vraska's Contempt targets, and Robert is currently choosing targets for this Vraska's Contempt. There's a Scarab God and a Liliana Death's Majesty on play. You know, Vraska's Contempt is a real solid answer here because Liliana reanimates creatures, and Scarab God is a creature. And it looks like Jake responded to that by embalming his Scarab God with his other Scarab God, which is really interesting, I think. Eternalized, excuse me. He eternalized it.
He eternalized, yeah. The eternalized was the
Vraska's Contempt came out for, oh man, there's lots of Scarab God happening here. And Robert just cast a Scarab God and eternalized Jake's Scarab God and let his own Scarab God die to the legend rule so he could just put it back in his hand. What a game this is. What a match.
Once they undid the legend rule, it let both players have legends out.
Yeah, can you imagine how this would be going if we were on like the original legend rule?
They would both die.
Yeah, it would just be infinite seal of Scarab God.
It is what it is. They're unique game pieces. Each player should be able to have a unique game piece.
Right. I mean, like, it makes more sense from a gameplay perspective not being able to, you know, just prevent it from being cast like in its original
There's
iteration.
A lot of silly things that you can do in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. The game's pretty silly, but you know the way they justify it, and I agree with this, is we're not like in the multiverse. We're drawing essence from the multiverse, casting our spells. So like 2 different players can theoretically. These 2 dueling planeswalkers can theoretically summon like the avatar of Liliana Death's Majesty from the Magic on Amonkhet.
Yeah.
And play them both. That's how I was introduced to the game.
I watched a video the Magic Man Sam over at Ristic Studies put out, and he was talking about how there's a card from the Kamigawa block that says that the legend rule does not apply.
Mirror Gallery.
Mirror Gallery. And the video was about how long until that card becomes the rule.
Yeah, how long until that card has no text.
Yeah, how long it is until we're to the point where there is no legend rule.
Right.
because we keep changing the legend rule. Now both players can have the same legendary permanent. You can have more than one planeswalker of the same type.
Looks like Jake finished that game out by playing more spells and resolving more things and being on the play. I heard Robert say, "Well, yeah, you had better draws than me," which is probably how this goes. Since every card in these decks basically lines up with each other.
Yep, they're very tuned.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't be surprised if these two were running the exact same 75. It wouldn't surprise me.
If it's the operative 75, I mean,
that would not surprise me one iota. Somebody's shouting out Jake's Space Ghost Coast to Coast shirt. That's a good.
They're both on top of the. They both. These are both like tournament players, so they stay on top of the meta game.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So we're going to be sideboarding here, and we'll probably be able to get one more of these in before our modern crew starts. You know, modern's not going to start at 7. If your local game store starts their
they have a lot of people.
Right. They got to process it all. If your local game store starts their Magic events on time, are they really your local game store?
So if you'd like to rewatch the match you're seeing now, don't forget we archive all of our replays on our YouTube page at youtube.com/TopDeckProductionsStream. If you're itching to follow us elsewhere on social media, give us a like on Facebook at facebook.com/TopDeckProductions, and be sure to check out TopDeckProductions.com for deck lists, league standings, and more. We'd really appreciate it.
And as all of you have generally caught on to, we've got this point system that we're pushing here now. We're calling them mana. Calling it mana because this is a Magic stream, and we talk in Magic terms. For 10 minutes of watching, you get a 5 whole mana. Unless you're a subscriber, you get a solid 10, even 1-to-1 ratio. You get 100 mana for every 100 bits you cheer, 500 for subscribing, and 50 for following. You get to accrue all that for giveaways. I believe our most recent giveaway has already been completed. It was a Animatu the Fate Shifter Subjective Reality Commander deck from the new set. In order to enter these giveaways, it's 25 mana per ticket, with a max of 10 tickets per person. Subscribers, with the exception of mods, get a bonus chance to be chosen. And we'll do these giveaways. Apparently we're still running this.
We're doing
this
the
giveaway.
The next giveaway is the Subjective Reality.
They told me it was this Tuesday. Apparently they changed their mind.
Then the drawing is this Tuesday at 10 p.m. Last week we gave away the Adaptive Enchantment deck. This week we're giving away the Subjective Reality deck.
Oh, I see. You're right. So the Subjective Reality deck that is here in front of me, solid construction, good cardboard box.
Wrong set symbol on the deck box.
It's great. Have any of you looked at the?
It's okay. There were 2 Commander products being released. They decided to just print the same set symbol on the box.
I'm not sure what the consensus giveaway is for people that can't be on Tuesday.
Unfortunately,
that's just when we're doing it. You have to reply within 2 minutes of being called to get it. Otherwise, they're going to call a new winner. Unfortunately, I think if you're not here on Tuesday, well, you're out of luck.
Yeah.
That's how the cookie ground was. I wish I could be here on Tuesday. I wish I could play in the league. Unfortunately, I can't be on Tuesdays either.
Speaking of which, Tuesday night is our Modern League night, where we get to play for cash.
Cash money.
The first place of the league walks away with $100. Second place gets $50, and third and fourth each get $25. Each week we keep track of your wins, and whoever has the most wins at the end, the top 4 players get those cash prizes. So if you live in the Greater Cincinnati area and you're looking to play some Modern, come on down on Tuesdays. We start at 6:30. If you want to participate in the league, you have to be a minimum $5 patron at patreon.com/TopDeckProductions.
And as of recently, there is a link on Top Deck's website for you to actually pay cash entry if that's what you're into.
That's excellent as well. So we've got Game 2 going here. Both players playing lands.
And
that is a search for Azcanta. Robert has scribbled out
everything
but the Azcanta. This card, I was unimpressed with this card personally at first, but it's a house in these kinds of decks.
It's just a house. It's 2 mana. You get to quote unquote scry every turn. And, yeah.
It enables itself. If you don't like the card, you can put it into the graveyard, and it gets to flip faster. It gives you a land, which is something that you want in these kinds of decks.
Yes, but you want
to keep hitting your land drops.
For sure.
This card with Teferi is actually insane. It's actually insane. Teferi, you can activate it on your turn, and then untap it with Teferi at the end of your turn, and then activate it again on your opponent's turn. That's not what's happening here. Neither one of these decks are playing white, but it's something that you can do, and it's pretty it's pretty neat stuff. So we're seeing a duress out of Robert. Is that
I always forget that duress is legal in this format.
Oh yeah, duress is something that they like to keep evergreen.
Yeah, for sure.
They print it every couple of sets. Yeah, like it lets you have an answer for something that you might not otherwise have an answer for. Typically players don't mind powerful cards being in the format as long as there's an answer for them, and duress is a way to break up a combo.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a way to answer something before it comes into play. It can't take creatures, but it can take planeswalkers, and otherwise planeswalkers are pretty hard to deal with. Like if this Liliana's Death Majesty resolves, it's going to be kind of hard for Jake to deal with.
Oh, absolutely.
Unless he just Vraska's Contempts right now.
This Argyl's Bloodfast is going to be a little bit hard for Robert to deal with for the most part.
They
it's just card advantage.
And Argyl's Bloodfast, he put the Espeon out for me. I really like the he has Sylveon also. That one I just stare at whenever it's on the battlefield. Robert Meadows is a big fan of the Pokemon. He's a big fan of the Pokemon cards, using them as tokens, and the Sylveon that he has really catches my eye.
Right. I like how Robert's using the Urza's block duresses in his graveyard there.
Jake's going to use this opportunity to run out a Scarab God. Let's see if Meadows can deal with it. We're going to put that in the Essence Scatter into the graveyard. Jake already has his Scarab God.
Robert doesn't need it.
Yeah. I don't dislike that play. I think he's just trying to get Escanta to flip, and we saw a flipped Escanta that turn.
And there it is. There's that pretty Escanta. He's got the good one with the map, the promotional one that I picked up all the colorless ones of those for my commander shenanigans. They're so pretty.
Yeah.
In person.
And I much prefer that way of distributing unique art.
Yeah. Promo style.
Promo cards. Yeah.
I dig it.
I wish that they would print them in foil and non-foil. I don't think it's fair that you get one or the other. Because some people prefer foils and some people prefer non-foil, but a lot of people like alternate art. And it just and if you're like me and you don't particularly like foils,
you can still get your alternate art.
It dissuades you from getting the alternate art if it only comes in foil. And there's also a lot of full art textless spells from back in the day that I'm sure foil lovers would like in foil, but they're not. So I think they could do maybe less promo cards and just offer them in both.
For sure. So I've noticed a distinct lack of the color red in this match so far.
The red is really just for Bolas.
Right. I just haven't seen either red or Bolas.
Unfortunately, that means that you have to play like a decent number of red lands. Given that you don't have a way to like search for them. In Modern, we're kind of spoiled. And in Eternal formats, we're kind of spoiled with fetch lands. We think fixing mana is easy.
Not in Standard, no.
Not in Standard.
For those of you just joining us, we are streaming a single match of Standard here before Modern begins. We're still waiting on the Modern pairings to go up. This is a grudge match between two of the boys on our Top Deck Productions crew here, and they really wanted to play it out on camera since we had some time.
Yeah, we thought that this was too good of a game to pass up, so we're bringing it to you.
And it's proving to be a very interesting match.
We'll have Modern up for you, and no problem. But let's just sit back and enjoy this Standard while we can.
And here's another search for Escanta running out here. Oh, I'm sorry, that's an Argyl's Bloodfast coming out of Robert's side here. So we have both people playing both cards.
Yeah, the flip trigger is a May, so you can have the flipped one and the enchantment, and then just choose never to flip it, which is pretty cool.
Oh yeah, no, this is it's a card advantage engine. Yeah, you can absolutely work. And then when the going gets tough, you've got a hidden engine the secret 4th or 5th or whatever mode of that card is when you flip it, you can sacrifice your Scarab God every turn in game 5 life, and just get it back, and then replay it, and then sacrifice it, and repeat until you gain all the life. It's great. I love it. It's a good late game way to just get that staying power.
Yeah, we are deep. We are deep in this game. Robert hasn't taken any, and Jake's at 18. So we just see how these games are all about going long, all about battles of attrition, making sure every single card counts.
All of the threats are threats that matter. Even the Champion of Wits is probably the worst creature in the deck, and it still is carded. It's card selection the first time, and it's massive card advantage the second time.
It seems all right, and the reason why Robert has chosen to pull the card out of the sleeve, this is how players have chosen to identify a card being embalmed or eternalized,
for sure,
as opposed to having to have the token. What Wizards of the Coast decided to do with embalm and eternalized cards is they decided to make every single one create a token that's a copy of itself, except it's a different color, and in the case of eternalized, have different power and toughness.
Right.
And they made tokens of every single one of these cards. I think they could have just circumnavigated that by making them flip cards, but that's neither here or there. So what players have chosen to do is pull it out of the sleeve.
I generally prefer to have the token. Like when I was playing Black-Red aggro, I had the Shaker Kenra tokens.
It's a more accurate representation of the board state, especially if the color of the creature changes or the power and toughness. But
yeah, as long as we're all on the same page, which we all are.
Yeah, if both players agree to it,
whatever, let them do it. As long as it is most important that the board state is non-ambiguous to the players. It is a little bit less important from a gameplay perspective if the board is ambiguous to people watching the match. It doesn't matter so much.
Yeah.
For coverage, I would prefer to have them use the tokens, but I just don't think they have them.
There are so many.
There's just so many. There's too many to track down.
There's so many.
There's just too many to track down. So, as long as both players know what's going on, and I assure you both of these players know this matchup intimately.
For the Eternalized, they could have just made it, because it always makes a 4/4. They could have just made a generic one.
Yeah,
just a blank text box, and you insert the text.
They could have made a little card frame that you cut out the text box and just set it over the creature.
There's a lot of different things, but when you make a new ability like that, it's uncharted territory.
Right.
And to keep the game interesting, they have to keep pushing the envelope.
Right.
And they learn from those things.
Absolutely.
Maybe this isn't the best execution of this design, so the next time they try it, they'll have learned from it, and maybe they'll get it right.
I think it's the same way with Aftermath. Aftermath, they were trying to tweak the idea of flashback a little bit by giving it a separate effect when it flashed back, which is something they hadn't done before. So they decided, Aftermath, that seems okay.
Yeah.
But Aftermath gave you some really weird synergies where you could actually Snapcaster Mage either mode with an Aftermath card. But if you were just going to straight up cast it for its Aftermath, you would be unable to do that from your hand. Yeah. But you're unable to cast the first mode of it from your yard, only the second mode.
They gave it a unique card frame.
It is very unique.
So as to not confuse it with the split cards from sets past.
Yep. I think that was a good card design.
It's okay.
It was real concise. It was really clear what was going on.
Yeah.
It was actually just two tiny magic cards.
It limits the art.
Yeah. And art being one of the biggest, coolest parts of this game, I think that's kind of a shame.
But it creates a unique design space. So we're going to see...
yeah, it looks like this is going to be going
players are flipping their cards back, making sure they take put the checklist cards back in. And looks like we'll go to game 3. We can finish this.
Well, we don't want to delay Modern. There's too many Modern players out there. We can't put them on.
I'm surprised the Modern's ready to start.
Yeah, it's only 6 minutes after. You'd think that they'd be running later with that many people. I don't know. It sounds like they're gearing up to have the Modern matches come on.
Have them finish this.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I don't want to make everybody play Modern wait. Okay. All right, looks like we are going to finish this match up.
We'll pick a match and then have them just start late.
Yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to line up our feature match here, and as soon as this match ends, we're going to throw some modern action on here for you.
I like table 1. Brent Rogers, Billy Caminos.
Yeah,
and if Billy doesn't want to be on, because sometimes he doesn't.
I like 6 and 8.
What's 8?
8.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, yeah. So 1 as the primary, and if they don't want to be on, have 8. Thank you. We'll have some modern for you soon, but I think it would be a disservice to
not show the
finale
match there,
of the Robert v. Jake, Meadows v. Valentine grudge match.
Do we have any weird nicknames for Jake? I know we like to call Robert Bob Hill. Bob Hills, and there's a handful. I'm aware of the meme that is Robert.
So if you like what you're seeing here and you like to support us, don't forget you can do so by giving us a follow here on Twitch and become a subscriber.
Bob Fields, yeah, you're right. One violence is correcting me. What a guy! What a guy that. What a
By
guy
doing
that won.
so, you'll know when we go live. There's also a Patreon page at patreon.com/TopDeckProductions. Your subscriptions help us support events like Tuesday Night Modern League, as well as our Friday Night Magic, and continued improvements to the stream.
Yeah, what are we doing here? Let's get some Bob Fields versus Corporate Holiday Valentine going on here.
One of the interesting streams we have coming up is not this Saturday, but next Saturday, September 1st. We'll be streaming on Saturday, because on Saturday we are having a modern PPTQ. That's Preliminary Pro Tour Qualifier. It starts at 1:30. It's probably going to be 6 rounds.
Just anticipating the amount of people
I'm
who are usually
anticipating
here.
between 32 and 64 people, which is indicative of a 6-round tournament. And that tournament will be held at competitive REL, so a little bit higher on the rules enforcement. First place gets an invite to the RPTQ. That's the Regional Pro Tour Qualifier.
And just for showing up to that, you get a sweet-looking Hobo Hierarch.
Yep.
And you can meet Zach.
I will be at
one of them.
One of them somewhere. We're deciding which one. But that is taking place next Saturday, September 1st, at 1:30 p.m. If you would like to attend, I think it's either $20 or $30, and the prize pool is great. I will be doing commentary, and I will have an as of yet announced co-host.
Hopefully it's me.
Hopefully it's
hopefully I queue up with one of the 2 PPTQs.
Hopefully
this
it's
weekend.
Connor or Farrell. I was thinking about getting Patrick to do it.
Patrick can do it. The 2 people already queued. That'd be neat.
The 2 of our friends
I
already
got dibs
already queued.
if I'm queued.
Oh yeah, for sure. So yeah, that's just some stuff we've got coming up, and we're gonna get Game 3 going.
Oh come on, Violence! I've heard plane tickets aren't that expensive. Just come on down.
Search
You'll be
resolves.
Fine. You'll be fine.
This is big game for Robert in the card advantage, the card advantage sub game. That is Magic the Gathering.
That's some big card advantage energy right there.
I think I see 3 duress in Robert's hands, so let's just fire those off.
That's so absurd. That just makes me happy and upset at the same time. Because the thing I don't like about Standard is it's got a tiny bit to do with the rotation of it, but it's really more like when I try to play Standard, the power level is just so low compared to what I'm used to, which is Modern, Legacy, and Commander. I just can't take my own, like, I can't take myself seriously when I'm doing it. And as a result, I usually just lose.
I like lower power level cards because it forces you to make every card count.
Oh, for sure. It's definitely...
You feel the individual power level of each card as opposed to just like the ones you're trying to cast. Like the ones that you're really trying to get to.
This game is going all over the place right now. We've got duresses coming every which way toward Jake. His hand is quite minimal at this point.
He got to leverage his 2-mana spell to take down a 5-mana spell. Unfortunately, Robert just gets that 5-mana spell back.
Yep. Ooh, a Field of Ruin, Modern All-Star Field of Ruin, which is considerably less good in Standard than it is in Modern.
That lets both players fix.
Yeah, but it doesn't.
Which is important in a 3-color deck that's splashing for 1 card.
Bolas! There's the first Bolas of the evening here.
Yeah, out of 3 games, that's the first Bolas.
And Robert's going to just answer it here in a second, I think.
I don't know. I think Robert's out of cards.
Oh, he just... Oh, he revealed an Essence Scatter off of that search the turn after the Bolas hit. Oh, it's tragic. Oh, it's tragic.
I think Robert's out of cards in spite of the fact that he cast 3 Duress.
He's got a... Yeah, I think this is probably no bueno for Robert here. That Bolas is without an answer right now.
They're both pretty low on resources. Okay, well...
So we're going to kill Liliana with...
the Liliana got the
guy.
Got the Scarab God back and then ate a Bolas attack. So that's worth...
That's something.
That's worth it. Ooh, is Jake going to deploy his own card advantage?
He's just going to drop cards on the floor. He's going to knock his graveyard over.
They're playing fast and loose over here.
Yeah, these guys are they're going for it. They're into it.
This is a loose stream.
This is a loose game. This isn't even like for anything.
This is round 1, Holmes.
This is round 1 of Standard? Oh, well. I think whoever loses should just die. I think they should just kill him. Just execute the loser of this match on stream.
Single elimination style.
Yeah, single elimination.
So now we've got
the extreme.
We've got a flipped Bolas staring down. I like how they're like right there next to each other, staring down the Scarab God. We know who the master here is.
This is really interesting from a flavor perspective, because this is the equivalent of Scarab God just saying, "No, Dad, I'm not going to kill anybody. I'm going to kill you."
Yeah, and so Robert has to devote his entire attack to
dealing with that Bolas.
Dealing with the Bolas, and that Bolas just gets to, you know, do its thing on Jake's turn.
I think we have some Bant Spirits sneaking around here tonight, and I'd be interested to see that. I'd be interested to see that on camera.
I would love to see some Bant Spirits.
Probably no 8-whack, but we'll look.
Bant Spirits is a recent addition to Modern. It's still like fighting for its place.
Yep.
It could be the best shelf for Collected Company now.
Yeah, it's fighting for the spot in Modern that is reserved for the Coco Chalice or Coco Vial Lord deck.
Well, there are Collected Company decks and there are Aether Vial decks. The best Aether Vial deck is humans. That's just
I agree.
That's just decided. The best Collected Company deck is either Spirits or Elves, and Spirits is really fighting for that spot.
Are both of these players still at 20? Is that real? Could that be possible?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, what a world.
They're fighting for resources.
Robert just eternalized that Nicol Bolas. Like, he killed Nicol Bolas with the Scarab God and then stole it. This is a silly game. This format is so silly.
Well, it's the power level of these individual cards. All the other cards are to enable these really powerful ones.
I actually feel like I'm watching a Commander game here. This is I'm just amused to no end. So what's Jake got for this, you think? What sort of answer does he have here? That's a Torrential Gearhulk in his hand. Probably nothing good in the yard, because it looks like his yard's gone.
Scarab God is really difficult to deal with.
Yeah, so is Nicol Bolas as it happens.
And if he deals with the Bolas...
Oh, you know what really happened? Jake, he tried to reanimate Bolas with Lily, and Robert sniped it. Not from under him. There's a Gearhulk, and in response, nothing.
Nothing, because he can't actually cast the Gearhulk. He doesn't have enough mana.
Yes, he can. He just tapped 6 lands for
Robert has 3 lands.
Right, no, Jake.
Yeah, like, Robert was going to respond to Jake's Torrential Gearhulk by playing his own.
Oh, yeah, I didn't see it.
So now Jake knows that Robert has a Torrential Gearhulk. Don't show your opponent your hand if you don't have to.
Yeah, this game looks like it's definitely swinging in Robert's favor.
Now Jake takes damage because of Scarab God's one of Scarab God's other abilities.
Where he, at the beginning of your upkeep, your opponent loses life equal to the number of zombies you control, and you scry that many. Which is...
It lets you scry, too?
Yeah. That's why Robert's been scrying 1 for like 2 turns.
Oh, my God. What?
Which is actually incentivizing Robert not to flip that Bolas.
That does so much.
Because he still gets that scry. If he flips it, it's not a zombie. Yeah,
I'd like to see them move away from so much text on each card. Creatures can do, like whatever. They should have interesting effects that affect the game in a dynamic way. It kills me how much text cards have.
You want to talk about a tome of text? Let me talk about my Lord and Savior, Worldbreaker. That has 4 or 5 abilities, something like that.
Yeah, it
has a cast trigger, a combat relevant ability, a static ability that affects the card in all zones, and an activated ability.
Yeah.
What a meme.
I like the reach on that card is buried in there because it's like after the cast trigger.
There's a really specific way that they order abilities on cards, and usually the keyworded abilities come at the top because most cards don't have static abilities and triggered abilities and keyworded abilities. So the keyworded ability is supposed to come after those two. So since Worldbreaker has Devoid, which is a static ability, a cast trigger, which is a triggered ability, according to the order, the third ability would be the keyworded ability. So more than halfway down the card is this little word reach buried in a wall of text.
That's usually at the top.
That nobody remembers.
Yeah. What do you think of Oubliette?
Oh, man, this guy's talking about Illusionary Mask. Woo!
What do you think about... We've got a comment about Oubliette in the chat.
It's just Banisher Priest for black. It's a pauper card, for sure.
I'd like to see that card in some master set.
I want them to print that in a modern. That's not even close to broken. I just want to not have to pay $40 to play it in pauper.
So a master set or standard, they could print it into. They could print it really at any time. I'd like to see Oubliette. I think that card's really cool.
Yeah, dude. Okay, who can we get? I want to address chat. Can we get Illusionary Mask up on the stream, please? I want to talk about this card. This card is so silly. This card invented morphs. I'm telling you, dude. This is the card. This is the real morph card.
I don't think I think putting a creature in jail is well within the color pie for black because it only targets creatures. It's not Oblivion Ring. Oubliette isn't Oblivion Ring.
No, it only hits creatures.
It only hits creatures. That's something that black can do. Black can totally temporarily exile a creature. Now, what makes it, like black doesn't always get enchantments, but that's something that a black enchantment would totally be able to do. Oubliette, I think, is well within the color pie. If it hit anything other than a creature, I think it would break the color pie.
Oh man, we even got the good original text for Illusionary Mask. I don't even know how to pronounce it. Is it Illusionary or Illusionary? You would think it'd be Illusionary, but I don't think that's a word.
Illusionary.
Illusionary? Well, that's an O, isn't it? Illusionary? Oh, maybe I'm just losing my mind over here. There's an A. It's Illusionary. Oh, the Oracle text is boring. The Oracle text is like theoretically even more complicated than the card text. It's so you pay X mana, but you have to keep track of what colors and types of mana you spent, and you get to put a creature from your hand into play, flipped over as a 2/2. It's not got the morph name or card type, but it's basically a morph.
Yeah.
And you can at any time at the same speed that you would be able to flip a morph.
Yep.
So at special action speed, you can flip it by paying the difference in cost of what you paid originally and the actual card's casting cost, which includes colors and types. This is why you have to notate it. So you could, for example, just pay 0 and put a Deadeye Navigator into play, flipped over as a 2/2 for 0 mana, and then just at instant speed randomly later on pays 6 mana and flip it. It is ridiculous.
Man, that's a lot of information that you have to maintain.
Yeah, it's crazy. I've tried playing it in Commander.
Let's get Oubliette up and then just leave it up. I'm not even going to talk about it. I just want Oubliette up so that we can all appreciate this card. So yeah, Jake appears to have a very solid board state here. We got a Glint Sleeve Siphoner and a Torrential Gearhulk. But, you know, another 2 turns from now, Robert could swing the pendulum back. He has a Torrential Gearhulk of his own in hand that Jake knows about because Robert revealed it to him earlier for no reason.
Well, it's because they're just jamming. These guys are just jamming.
Yeah. Oh, and Jake's hand is stacked. There's a Supreme Will. Supreme or nothing. Not the only Supreme card legal and standard right now. There's also the Phantom.
Supreme Phantom is a card.
Supreme Phantom is a card. So 1/3 that pumps your other spirits.
That card almost by itself kind of convinces me to bring in Warping Whale against the deck. Just because, oh man, maybe I can get that Supreme Phantom with it.
There's a lot of things with one power or toughness in that deck. I totally think that you should bring that in. Yeah, if you're just now joining in, we thought this game, when the standard pairings went up, these two were really excited that they got paired against each other, and we thought that it was just too good of a match to pass up. So we're bringing you the first round of standard. Maybe we can get in some of the. We have a modern match on standby that maybe we can get in some of the games from. But if not, we'll get the next 4 rounds of modern up for you, and yeah,
right.
Good stuff.
And of course, the third game of this match is the only one that's taking a long time.
The other games have taken an appropriate amount of time.
Yeah, the other two, this one's taken forever. But that's this matchup.
It's a battle of resources, man.
This is a control matchup.
It is attrition.
This is nuts. This game is going. This game has been so swingy.
Torrential Gearhulk recasting the Vraska's Contempt on Jake's Planeswalker, and now we see a Torrential Gearhulk battle, and they're both 5/6s, so they're not really going anywhere. Jake also has a zombie and an Argyl's Bloodfast, so currently he's ahead on board.
Yeah, this game has been so swingy. Like a couple of turns ago, I thought Robert was way ahead. But now Jake is pulling it out. Looks like Jake might run away with this because Robert's already at 10. There's plenty of power on the board there. Some of it flies, some of it doesn't.
I'd hardly call it a runaway. I think that the board state that these two have been able to achieve has been well earned.
Oh yeah, no, this is definitely gonna go to the right player here. Neither of these players are stealing this game for sure. It's just been so swingy. I think it's not something I'm used to.
There are other things being stolen. Modern. Scarab God steals cards.
Scarab God steals cards and sometimes games.
Yep.
One time I was playing Modern in an open, and I had a guy play Scarab God against me. I was playing Eldrazi-tron, and he stole my Reality Smashers. That felt really bad.
You poor thing.
Yeah. He only got 4/4s, though, so joke's on him.
That's funny.
4/4 Reality Smasher. Yeah. It was no bueno, though. It was a really, really well-timed Supreme Verdict, and then he played a Scarab God.
And that's a Gonti. That's just value right there.
Commander product is playable in Legacy and Vintage. Generally, it is not good enough for that. However, that has not stopped True Name Nemesis and...
Oh, no, they specifically print cards in those decks for... those formats. It's a way for them to circumnavigate, because if they want to introduce a card that's legacy power level playable, that's the way for them to do it. It's going to break standard. It's going to break modern.
Looks like Robert is
scooping it up. I mean, he's seen enough. So we'll be back momentarily with some modern. But I'd like to thank everyone, especially Robert Meadows and Jake Valentine for playing this game really quick. And I hope everyone enjoyed the Meadows v. Valentine mirror match grudge match. We'll be back momentarily with some hot modern action for you. Stick around.